Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Beat podcast, recorded live here at Health in Las Vegas. Today, I have the privilege of hosting Michael Dubrovsky. He's the co-founder and CEO of SiPhox Health. Michael, such a pleasure to have you here, man.
Great to be here.
How's the meeting going for you?
Our booth is a zoo because we're doing blood testing at the booth.
Wow.
It's like when I was a teenager, I worked at a food truck, and it's very similar. It's all day. I did blood testing yesterday for like 3 hours. It's mostly, we have like 12 people here with us from the team doing it, but it's really been, it's
Insane.
wild. Yeah.
So with these blood tests, like what are you getting, like what panels are you doing and things like that?
The one that we're doing here, it's you put it on your shoulder, and it's like a painless collection of 500 microliters of blood, roughly half a milliliter, and you get 20 biomarkers out of that. So it's like longevity markers that are not normally measured unless you're sick, that type of thing. So you have your like advanced lipid markers, insulin, that kind of stuff.
Included in that panel, is it like the general primary care?
No, it doesn't overlap that much with primary care.
Okay, so this is different.
We assume that you're getting your primary care every year, and then you're supplementing with this. We have other bigger panels that do include some of the primary care stuff, but like typically people are not getting their, testosterone measured, right? So it allows you to get the tests that are being overlooked.
Got it. Very cool. Fill in a gap.
Exactly.
Love it. What's the normal way that blood testing happens in America, and how is SiPhox Health trying to change that?
Yeah, I think in America, everything related to healthcare is complicated. We have an office in Slovenia, like a customer service office, and it's not far away from a blood testing lab. And you can literally walk in. They have a folder of all the tests they offer. You can poke at them just with your finger. They'll write it down on a paper, and for like whatever, $50, they'll just do them. So that's like blood testing in the normal world. In America, obviously, appointments, insurance, convincing your doctor to give you the test, the referral, then driving there in traffic, and finally sitting in like the DMV to wait to get the tests, right? So that's your typical situation. But obviously it's also, I think the infrastructure is not bad, right? So we have this massively scaled, like cloud style, like AWS style blood testing infrastructure that does work. And that's what everyone's doing typically.
Yeah. What are you guys trying to do? How are you trying to change that?
So it's a couple of ways. So originally we started the company to build a fully at-home device, like an espresso machine for blood testing. And it's based on a technology called silicon photonics, which is the technology that powers the internet. If you're listening to this podcast through Spotify or whatever, that data goes through a fiber optic cable at some point between data centers and so on. And at the end of those cables are silicon chips that have optics drawn into the silicon using the same technology that they use to make transistors. And that's extremely successful technology. It's super scaled, billions of chips, and it allows you to take very expensive optics and miniaturize them. And so we have worked for the last 6 years to do that for what are called immunoassays, which is like protein and hormone tests. While we were doing that, we launched the second business inside our company, which has grown enormously and it become like take on a life of its own, which is having people collect blood from their upper arm with a painless patch and pick that up with FedEx and bring it back to a lab with like more traditional instruments. And that's become, I think, just with the growth of interest in blood testing and longevity, that's become like a very big business for us.
Super cool, man. Yeah, there's been a huge wave of interest in longevity. There's some of the stuff like function health and stuff that's happening out there. And so seeing a lot of these things, how can you get clinicians to trust home collected lab data? I feel like that could be an obstacle.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think like in general, the home blood tests have been around for a while in different forms. The very early forms were like a piece of paper that you would blot the blood onto. And they're pretty inaccurate because sometimes people would like have the blood dry and then put some more blood on there from their finger and it would like layer and double the amount of all types of issues. So those were like the first gen tests. And I think a lot of clinicians actually have been burned by those and like don't want to, they're like home test. Let's do the test again at LabCorp. So that's a very common. I think some of it is like education about the new technology, right? Which is like the kind of stuff we do here at HLTH, like doing the tests live and so on. And I think some of it is just working through. So blood tests are regulated by CLIA LDT normally. So they're all like laboratory developed tests, but doctors really prefer FDA cleared tests. So it's really getting the home blood testing industry moving towards FDA clearance. I think we'll also get more acceptance with like traditional care, not just screening, longevity, et cetera.
Got it. It's that approval, that FDA approval that would maybe potentially increase the confidence.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people in the industry are working towards that. So the home blood testing industry is like very nascent, it's new, and the technology's gotten better, so it's become more realistic to get FDA clearance. So it's something that like we're interested in, and I think a lot of other people are as well.
Cool. You know what? Just learning about your background, you were at MIT. You also have a lot of interesting friends. You host a podcast where you interview Nobel Prize winners. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so I co-host. This is why it's fun to be on this one. But I actually am a host of a podcast sometimes, where some friends from MIT and I, we started a few years ago, and it's like it started out as an excuse to talk to famous scientists for 3 hours, but it's actually somewhat popular in like a niche audience now. Occasionally we'll meet up. We always do it in person, and we'll meet up with a Nobel Prize winner. And we don't do this very often because it takes a lot of preparation, but we read all their papers and then have like a 3-hour technical discussion. So obviously the audience is not big, but the audience is like people like us, which makes it fun.
Yeah. It's all about meaningful. It's not about the numbers. It's about the impact in the end. And it sounds like you're having great conversations. What's the name of that?
632 nanometer podcast. It's named after like a famous laser wavelength.
That's pretty geeky.
Yeah, we're being honest about what we're doing. Yeah.
Love it, man. That's so great. So shifting back gears to the company, give us some examples of where you've already seen end users or businesses you serve benefit from this home testing, and give us some examples of where it didn't work too.
So we have two kind of areas where we sell, right? So we sell into direct to consumer. So people just come to our website and buy it. And there, if you go on Trustpilot and just read our reviews, if you test enough people, you're going to get people who are like, going to have a heart attack soon and found out and had a stent, right? So we have reviews like that. SiPhox saved my life. We find a lot of people with hemochromatosis, like that's very typical. It just takes forever to get diagnosed with some of these diseases because the symptoms are like, I feel tired, and they just don't get tested. So that's a big area of like benefit for consumers that we see. Also people that already have a chronic disease and they just don't want to, they live far away from a lab. They don't have time, this kind of thing. So that's where a lot of our users come from. For businesses, it's actually completely different. In the case of businesses, there are a lot of businesses that have a very high LTV product, but it's hard to sell it. And their funnel is very leaky, and it often includes a blood test that people just don't want to take because it's like a venous draw or whatever it is. And so it's helping them optimize that funnel where if they have a great experience, everything but the blood test is a great experience, but the blood test, you're going to the DMV for the blood test, right? It's taking that component out and allowing people to have an Equinox type experience across their whole funnel. We see like double conversion rates for people going from like their initial, whatever, like low cost entry point to the thing that they're actually trying to typically sell, like the higher value stuff, like it's often like something prescription care, etc.
Yeah, no, that's great. It removes friction, improves the overall experience. That's fantastic. And reimagining care delivery to improve access and outcomes, especially for historically underserved populations, is a topic of discussion. How are you guys doing it?
I think like we're doing it the same way that like, let's say Tesla did for electric cars. So we're definitely today, a lot of our customers are affluent unless they live so far away from a lab that like it's important to them to self-pay, right? So we're not in the insurance business yet and so on. Like I think, but in the long run, what you do is you're subsidizing the development of this technology. So like more affluent people subsidize it, but it's a democratizing technology. It's the fundamental cost of doing it is low, and at scale, it'll be able to serve people much better than the current system. So that's how we see it. Like we're roughly somewhere between the Roadster and the Model S. We haven't made it to the Model Y and the Model 3 and so on yet.
That's cool. I like that. That's a good analogy. Over time, these things with scale, they do become more accessible.
Exactly.
And that's the vision. Looking ahead the next 3 to 5 years, what bold bet is SiPhox Health making that you believe will truly transform healthcare experiences?
Yeah, I think one thing we've done that a lot of diagnostics companies that build like point of care instruments don't do is we're going straight to the home. So we're completely focused on home testing. Like the consumer has the device in their home, and then it's connected via the cloud to whatever it might, telehealth, et cetera. So we're not doing a pit stop at like clinics, point of care, none of that, even though there are a lot of markets there. So I think that's probably the biggest gamble the company's making. Is very atypical, but we just think that's where the future is.
That's great, man. Listen, it's great to hear the progress you guys are making, the fun you're having here at Health, and overall the impact that you guys are making very quickly. I want to congratulate you for the success, the things that you're doing for outcomes for folks. Where can people reach you if they want to learn more?
Probably the easiest is Mike at SiPhox.com or LinkedIn.
Awesome.
Or just check out SiPhoxHealth.com.
SiPhoxHealth.com as well. Yeah. Folks, there you have it. We will leave all the ways to get in touch with Michael Dubrovsky, co-founder and CEO of SiPhox Health, in the show notes. So check it out. We'll link everything up there so you can get a quick access. If you're geeky and you want to listen to his conversations with Nobel Prize winners on the 632 NM podcast, that'll be linked up there in the show notes too. But otherwise, thank you all for tuning in on another episode of The Beat at Health. And yeah, just Michael, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.